I don't feel bad about anything that I wrote in this book. You know, my father leaving me at 5 years old in Southeast DC to go smoke crack. My mother almost murdering me by choking me to death. I talk about my brother selling crack to our dad. They made those choices and those decisions. I am a man recounting his life. And if that makes them feel some type of way, then perhaps they shouldn't have treated a child that way, or perhaps they shouldn't have set that example for a child. In the book, I do also express like, hey, I love you guys, even the people I haven't talked to in years because I had to put you out of my life because you weren't healthy to be around. I do love you, and you did make an impact on me. And whether that impact was surrounded by positivity or negativity, you shaped the man I have become. And in many ways, it was extremely cathartic, and it allowed me to really fully forgive all these people and understand that it's definitely fueled by drugs and not the person who they really are deep down.
What's doing, everybody? I'm Alec Lace. Thank you for watching First Class Fatherhood. Today's guest on the podcast is Bobby Hall, better known as Logic. Logic is a Grammy-nominated recording artist. He's got a brand new memoir out, available now, titled This Bright Future. The link to the book is down there in the description. While you're down there, smack the subscribe button, tap that like, and let's jump into it right now with Bobby Hall, Logic, on First Class Fatherhood. Joining me now, First Class Father, Bobby Hall, better known as Logic. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Thank you very much for having me. This is awesome.
All right, let's start right here. How many kids do you have? How old?
I have 7 kids. I'm joking. I have one child, little Bobby, Sir Robert Bryson Hall III, who is almost 19 months.
Wow, yeah, you
So a
still
year
got
and
the
a half.
price tag on him there. What
Yeah.
did you guys do any sort of gender reveal to find out what you were having, or did you wait till the end to find out?
Me and my wife, for as long as we've been dating and then married and engaged and all that, have never been able to wait for anything. We give each other our Christmas gifts like in November, right? So we wanted to know immediately. So we were like calling the doctor, and they finally said it. I'll actually, it's one of my favorite memories. We're on the phone and we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting, and then they're like, "Are you sure you want to know on the phone?" And we were like, "Yes." And then the woman, she said, "You're having a beautiful baby boy." And I was so excited. I would have been happy if it was a girl as well. It doesn't matter. A child's a child and it's beautiful. But I wanted a boy. I just wanted a. I mean, I'm a man. I don't know.
Yeah, hey, listen, we had 3 boys first, then we got our girl on the fourth try. Otherwise, we'd have 5 by now, but we got her on 4. You go for any more kids, or you one and done here?
No, I think we definitely do want more children. My wife, she's young. She's 22. I'm 31, so I'm not sure if, I'm robbing the cradle or she's robbing the grave in this situation, but she's got time, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm not really in a rush. We both definitely do want children, but we're really enjoying this little man. I mean, even one child is like a handful, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very cool. If you could, Bobby, please just take 1 second to hit my listeners with a little bit about your background and what you do.
Well, I'm known as a musician by the name Logic. My background is I am an uneducated high school dropout who then went on to find education in the real world, or book smarts as you could call it. Both of my parents are drug addicts and alcoholics. I grew up around violence and murder and drugs and crime, and my father's black, my mother's white, and I just didn't let the adversity of my surroundings or what I was born into rub off on me, and I didn't let it become my life. And that's a lot about what my book is about, this bright future. And yeah, I think I channeled all the things that I was going through, and instead of either A, mimicking it, or B, trying to run or escape from those things, that world, and drugs, alcohol, gang violence, things like that, I channeled that into writing and music and being able to express myself and my emotions by doing so. And one thing led to another, and I have no idea how the hell it happened, but I was blessed enough to have a really amazing music career, and now I'm kind of going full force into film while also still enjoying making music. So there's my 30-second life story.
Yeah, listen, what an incredible journey you've had. I have a copy of the book here, This Bright Future. You paint a very vivid picture of your childhood growing up, which was tumultuous at times there. Now, given your childhood and your background, how did the experience of becoming a father so far, 19 months into this, how did that kind of change your perspective on life?
Yeah, I mean, it's like all the cliches they say about children are true. Like you could never love anything as much as this little person. Your life isn't your life anymore. Like it's just so true. Like every little decision that I make it for my son, you know. And it's funny because coming from the background that I do and having never really had a family, it's kind of been my life's goal to have a family. Excuse me, and to create something of my own. And I did it, only it's way better than I thought it would have ever been. And it happened all just by chance and randomly, and it just happened. So I'm very lucky. But it is completely and utterly changed the way I view every aspect of my life.
Yeah, very well said. And one thing I'm curious about, Bobby, in the experience of writing the book, This Bright Future, I grew up with alcoholic parents. Both of them passed away before I became a father myself. I'm a recovering alcoholic and an addict as well. And one of the things becoming to be able to speak about some of the things in my childhood, I always kind of felt like, because I love my parents, for what they were, they had their own struggles. I always felt kind of guilty about talking about them as their alcoholism and their problems in life. Did you fight through any of this as you were writing this book? What was that process for you like, going back to where, going through all this? What were the emotions like, and how did you kind of deal with that process?
You know, you might want to do this for a living. You're so good at this, man. Like you're fantastic. These questions are so cool. Yes. Yes and no. I don't feel bad about anything that I wrote in this book. You know, my father leaving me at 5 years old in Southeast DC to go smoke crack. My mother almost murdering me by choking me to death. All the things that I've gone through. I talk about my brother selling crack to our dad. Um, it's they made those choices and those decisions. I am a man recounting his life, and if that makes them feel some type of way, then perhaps they shouldn't have treated a child that way, or perhaps they shouldn't have set that example for a child. These are the deepest, most vivid memories that I have, and they're kind of like the worst memories you could have. And that's not my fault. I'm not going to necessarily say it's their fault. Drugs and alcohol is an addiction. It's a disease. It's something that I know and I understand. And I also bring that up as well. Um, so it wasn't really hard, but in the book, I do also express like, hey, I love you guys. Even the people I haven't talked to in years because I had to put you out of my life because you weren't healthy to be around. I do love you and you did make an impact on me. And whether that impact was surrounded by positivity or negativity, you shaped the man I have become. And because of this, I am forever in your debt. And I do not say these things from a place of anger. And in many ways, it was extremely cathartic, and it allowed me to uh, really fully forgive all these people and understand that nothing was intentional. I mean, I don't know how choking your son almost to death isn't intentional, but it's definitely fueled by drugs and not the person who they really are deep, deep down before these substances began to destroy their lives.
Yeah, good stuff. And listen, there's no doubt that there are millions of people that are living through similar circumstances. So I think the book is going to be beneficial to so many people out there listening. Link to the book in the description of today's podcast episode. And then bringing it back into you, as a dad here, or what would you consider to be the top values that you're hoping to instill in your son growing up?
I just wanted to be a good person and better than I could ever be. You know what I mean? Like that's it. I could give a damn if the kid wants to play football, baseball, wants to ballet dance. I just want him to be a good person. You know, I want him to learn. Hopefully, I mean, we all have to. I talk about this in the book as well. Like there's a part of me, and I'm sure you know as a father that like you don't want your children to feel pain. You don't want them to fall down and break an arm or get their heart ripped out by some boy or girl or this, but it's like it's a part of the human experience. Like it makes us who we are as individuals. And as much as I wish I could be there for every little thing and keep him safe and protect him the best that I can, it's like, when he's playing on the couch and stuff, like I always tell him, like, no, Bobby, like we don't stand on the couch, but I'm there to catch my boy. Nobody was there to catch me. And I'm there to catch my boy, but there's going to be times when I deliberately cannot catch him, metaphorically, because he has to learn to grow and have those experiences that will make him who he is as an individual. So it's scary, but at the end of the day, I just want him to be happy and have options. Have the options I never did, which in and of itself is kind of weird, right? Because it's like, dude, I grew up on food stamps, welfare. We had nothing, like absolutely nothing. And I'm blessed enough that I can spoil this boy, and in many ways he already is spoiled. But there's also the fact that I can't give him too much because he has to work for that. You know what I mean? I worked for it, and I wish some of it was handed to me, and maybe it would have made it a little easier, but I don't think I would appreciate where I am because of that. So he'll definitely be taken care of, but to an extent, he's got to work for what he wants.
Yeah, that's one of those things, Bobby, that I would think would be a very difficult balance when you're in a position where you grew up without anything and now you're in a position to give your son everything. I would think that that's got to be a difficult balance to do. And I have my two oldest are teenagers, and to watch them fail is one of the most difficult things as a father. But it's difficult but necessary in the growth of them as individuals. So it's definitely no easy task. And then how about, I know 19 months into this, but has becoming a father, has it changed you at all as an artist? Has it changed you as far as which music you're looking to do? Has it changed the direction of your music career? How about any of that?
Great questions, man. Like, this is so awesome. Yes, wholeheartedly. In 2018, so a funny thing about me is a lot of people might be like, oh, it's the 1-800 guy, the guy who did the song about suicide and all this stuff, which I love. Hey, that's amazing. That's something that makes me really happy. But it's funny that I'm like not a one-hit wonder. I mean, well, after that, I had bangers and I did songs with Eminem and all this other, like, checking, stuff off the bucket list. But before then, it was 10 years. I had a career of 10 years and selling out thousands of seats and theaters and different things like that. And it was amazing. But it was the steady incline. It was a slow burn. It was a marathon, not a sprint. And I beat myself to hell and back doing it. I mean, malnutrition, I was smoking cigarettes and just doing all these things that wasn't necessarily the healthiest physically, because I also grew up in a place where, like, nobody really talks about physical or mental health really, right? And then the physicality of my situation then began to weigh on me mentally as well. And I was going, through anxiety and bouts of depression and not really understanding why and XYZ. And in 2018, it was the craziest year of my life. From like 2017 to 2019, it was just go, 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 go. It was festivals and shows every weekend. It was tours constantly. I was on the road. I was going crazy. And then by the end of that, like around in 2019, my wife is pregnant. And then I just start to realize, like, what's important and what matters most. Financially, I was blessed enough and am to be in a position, in a situation where I can do anything I want. However, being in music, hell, entertainment in general, we're always told that we're not good enough and that if we stop or slow down, that we're going to fall off. I've had people tell me a million times, "Oh, you fell off. You fell off." It's like, all right, I don't know what that means. I just released an album and sold 250,000 units in a week. Like, what are you talking about? Like, do you know what I mean? But also, success shouldn't be defined by numbers. And this is the value that, I'm sorry, I'm going on this tangent, but to answer your question, that I found in my son. I don't want to go on tour and do a million shows and all this other stuff anymore. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go on tour. I love music. It's amazing. It's incredible. But I don't want to do that. I'd rather be at home. I'd rather do things that the type of work that I'll be home a majority of the time doing. So that includes recording. I can release music, but now stepping into the world of film, it's really amazing. One of my first gigs is coming out this Friday on Apple TV, and it's with Joseph Gordon-Levitt for his TV show Mr. Corman. And it's a dream that I always wanted to act, and I don't just play some rapper who's like, yeah, bruh, totally. Like, it is crazy with monologues and all these different things. And I say all this to say, film is what I want to do. And for the last 17 years of my life, I've built a house that is music and creativity and all this other stuff. I don't want to leave the house. I just want to build an addition. And my son has made me realize how important it is to actually follow your dreams, because I want to set an example that when you master one thing, don't be scared to try something else. Don't be complacent. And I've damn near rapped about almost everything I can rap about. So my music moving forward will be more so, kind of melodic, honestly. Been strumming the guitar, having fun, always going to rap, always going to do stuff like that. But he has made me want to try different things. He has made me want to slow down and enjoy the present, which is extremely hard to do.
Yeah, very well said and very true. Very hard for all of us to do. I know a lot of times we're at work, we're thinking about being at home, and we're at home, we're thinking about things at work. So it's definitely a balance to do there for sure. And listen, the music game has obviously changed a lot since you first got into it here. Everything now, and it's, even with the pandemic, has forced everybody online, everybody doing streaming. It's definitely changed the scope of it. So, what kind of advice, I guess, would you have for the parents out there that have kids that are interested in a music career and are seriously trying to make it in the music industry? What kind of message would you give to steer to parents to help them with the kids?
Do you mean in this time in general or specifically through COVID?
Well, either or. I mean, it's changed a lot. Either way, I think the pandemic has just kind of fed the fire of the change in the music industry.
I agree. I think anybody should just truly encourage their children to do whatever. Like if they're playing video games all day, it's like, do you want to make video games? Would you want to test video game, be a video game tester? There is a world in whatever somebody can want to do, but even there, it's still hard work. It isn't just playing video games. So I think it's about really connecting with your child. Mind you, I say this as my kid is 19 months old, right? So it's like, I don't have teenage boys. I don't know what that's like yet. Like, no, dad, shut up. You don't understand. But I think doing the best that we can to, one, not have amnesia, remember what it was like to be wild and crazy in that age, and have dreams and ambitions that our parents didn't even understand. You know what I mean? So I would just say, listen to your kids, really help them, do what you can. And it's not even monetarily. It's not about that. It's about time. Time is obviously something that you can't buy or buy back. So I think investing in taking a genuine interest and what your child is doing, even if you could give a shit, like if you don't really, if this doesn't interest you, do your best to make an effort to try to find something that does interest you about this specific thing. I mean, it's even like time with the spouse. Like say your spouse loves pottery and you could give a damn about making pots. You know what I mean? Is it really about the pottery? One, you're doing that for the person that you love, but two, it's more about like, wow, here's an opportunity for us to sit alone and create something while having conversations. So if you enjoy the person that you love and getting to know them, ask them questions that you could have never even have thought of before, and now you're put in this situation. So it's less about what is being done, and I think it's more about the connection between the two. And I think if a parent wants to support their child, all they have to do is talk to them, ask questions. I mean, literally asking questions is kind of one of the greatest things ever. Not necessarily intentionally like challenging the kid, or maybe you don't like it, so you want to ask them questions to try to deter them from doing this thing. Don't make it about yourself. Make it about the kid. Because if you were that kid, wouldn't you just want someone to be there that loves you and supports you and cares enough to actually, try to gain some knowledge of the things that you're interested in? So there's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, listen, I love that. My oldest son actually became very interested in chess early on, and I never
Dude, I
played
love
chess.
chess, bro.
I never played it. I never even knew how, and I learned how to play it, so I can play with it now. All of us in the family, all six of us play chess, and so it's become a big part of the family just because it was something he got interested in. So
Amazing.
you never know which way it's going to lead. So, real quick, I wanted to ask you, what does your bedtime routine look like so far? Are you a lullaby guy? Are you reading them stories? What does bedtime look like in your house?
Bedtime for little Bobby is okay. So actually, let's break it down. So after his first nap, we hang out. He wakes up around 3 o'clock, right? So he gets up at like 6:30 in the morning, and then he takes nap time around 1, and we'll hang, depending on the day, right? Depending on when I'm working and when his mom is working and all these other things. But for your typical day of us together, we'll hang and play. And I have this like, I'm not really like a manly man, I'm not like a Tim Allen home improvement fix it kind of guy. But I built this kid's remote control car that you can sit him in, and I was like, felt so accomplished. So sometimes I'll drive him around in that, or we'll play in the basketball court, and or we'll draw. Oh, he's obsessed with music right now. We're gonna get to bedtime, but he's obsessed with music, dude. There's this one of my favorite artists in the world. His name is Toro y Moi, and he's kind of like an experimental indie, really cool guy. And that's one of his favorite albums. It's called What For. But I just got him into Metallica, dude. Insane. Hardwired to Self-Destruct is like his favorite. Master of Puppets, of course. And what he does is he'll go into my study and he'll like go to the vinyl player and he does this. which means like music, music, music. And he goes like this, all crazy and all over. And we put that on. We'll do that for a little bit. And then obviously he'll eat dinner. And then after dinner's bath time. Usually I let him and his mom do bath time, but I'll pop in. Since the day he popped out of the canal, he's always, I made him this mixtape, it's called Bobby's Bubble Bathapalooza. And it's just all Frank Sinatra songs. So every night at 6 o'clock on the dot, boom, we hit play and he listens to Frank Sinatra. And when it comes time to put him down, I read him. Well, my favorite book is I Love You as Big as the World. I don't know if you've heard of it. I love it. It's about these little baby bears and stuff, and it's really cute. Which is another thing. Sorry, I know I'm going off on this tangent. I'll wrap it up in a second. I really also love baby books that are more about like animals and kind of like sexless, raceless characters, because then everyone can kind of relate to it, all colors and creeds and people. And so I always really love that. Anyway, after I read him that, I give him a big kiss on his face, all over his face, and I tell him how much I love him, and I tell him to say dada, and he says dada. And yeah, sometimes I'll read I Love You as Big as the World in like a super like a mafioso kind of way, and I say I love you as big as the world. I love you as far as a star. I just like to be funny with him. And then his mom rocks him, puts him in the crib. He loves to be in the crib awake before he goes to sleep. He demands it. And we get the good old fashioned baby monitor. Daddy pours a glass of wine. We watch Friends or some Wes Anderson or Tarantino movie in bed, and that's a fun family night putting our boy to sleep.
Yeah, I like your style. All right, listen, the book is out obviously right now. It's been a big work for you, a long time in the making here, I would imagine. What do you got left for what's next for you here? What kind of goals or plans you have here for yourself in the future?
I just wrote a movie called Protagonist that I plan to star in, and I'm going to fully fund it for a couple $1 million. And YOLO, like it's a dream. It's scary. It could all come crashing down. It could have horrible reviews. It could be loved. It could be hated. It could be this. It could be that. But at least I can look back as an old man and say, hey, I tried it. I did something I love, and I don't think the experience is something I'll ever regret. So I'll continue to make music from my heart, have fun, be the best dad I could possibly be, and venture out into film.
Great stuff. Last thing I'm going to hit you with here, Bobby. I love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have for that new dad or for that about to be father who's out there listening?
I would have to say, don't worry. The baby's probably breathing. It's cool. That's like the biggest thing. I would always freak out and think my baby's not breathing or something. And kids get hurt. That was a big thing for me, is like even just little bumps and knocks and this cry, every little thing is going to seem like, oh my God. And that's all normal. And, you and your loved one may argue, and it's all normal. Like, don't think of it as the end of the world, even when it feels like it's the end of the world, dude. Everything's going to be cool, man. Just know that you're a good parent. If you even care to hear this advice and this conversation here, you're a good dad. So, give yourself a break.
Yeah, well said. I love the message. This has been a lot of fun for me. I got to say, Bobby Hall, Logic, you're a first-class father all the way. And thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here at First Class Fatherhood.
Thank you very much for having me.